Hey guys, welcome back to XConvos. It's your girl Jerusha, and I'm so excited for this episode. It's been a hot moment, and speaking about hot, it is finally summer. That's right, guys. Summer body getting into full action. I can feel the heat from all you people being stored away like you're some type of perishable canned item, and you're ready to get cut, ready to simmer up this season. Today is going to be a really fun topic because I really wanted to speak on creator's block. I wanted to do something completely unique and have my own kind of take on creator's block. I think a lot of times people talk about it in a way where they're like, I feel like I'm not inspired or I don't have a certain milestone or a certain quality of a product that I'm proud of. And for me, how I see creator's block is when we stop being creative in the sense of our reality. What does that look like? How do we develop that? How do we find a sense of play, joy, ease, flow? And I've experienced it personally in my life in this season. I had last year feeling like I dropped, my single body thoughts and, feeling a sense of relief because it's been years of just not being able to release music. And it's something that gives you inventory on what's going on in your mind. Why are you not able to release the music? Why aren't you able to release the project? Why is there always something that comes up and blocks that next transition into that next season for you to level up? And I've had little baby situations that kind of like, I take flight and I'm not flying yet. No. That was just a test. That was a test run. And then you're like, I think I'm taking flight now. And no, not quite yet. Not this year. Not yet. And what I want us to address is that we all have blocks that sometimes are a little bit more firm around our trauma, our childhood trauma. Sometimes it's an experience that is recent. Sometimes it's a belief system. So negative limiting beliefs that don't necessarily allow you to feel like you're progressing to that image that you've given yourself, that expectation, the unrealistic expectation over yourself. And what does that look like in your body, in your mind, in your craft? I know for myself, I had a whole year of feeling like I'm being blocked. I don't feel quite fluid. I don't feel like myself. I want to be that person who can come on and turn it on and give you guys 110%. I want to be that person who has no limiting beliefs around financial, abundance. And I also want to be able to create and feel like there's no fear around it. But our fear gives us insight. You have to accept it. I feel like we have these blocks is because we're resisting the flow. We're just like, I don't even want to address it. I don't want to address it. I don't want to accept it. I don't want to pay attention to it. And the best thing you can do is understand that we're human. Give yourself a little compassion in the process. And what that may look like to you is that you're like, okay, I'm going to crack down. I really want to lose weight. I want to be my best fittest self. And giving yourself one task, one promise to show up for. Giving yourself a sense of purpose. Because I think in society, we blow up purpose as I got to be famous, I got to be very successful, a billionaire, have all the women, all the men, whatever it is that we blow it up and it's superficial, it's fake, it's fantasy, it's not real. The real purpose is, and I was explaining this to actually a friend not too long ago, is in the small moments. Now, a lot of times people will be like, oh, that's simple, like behavior. That's, it's not really living. It is living, because that's our day-to-day actions. That's our habits. That's our behaviors. That's what we retire to when we're under stress, under pressure. And if you don't have a sense of discipline, if you don't have a sense of real solitude and real connection and intention in those moments, then what ends up happening is you end up robbing yourself. You end up going in these cycles where you don't feel like you're doing enough. You're not being enough. You struggle. We all live through the struggle. It's okay because you get to learn and have wisdom. But if it's a block and it has you going into a sense of constant repetition, it could be quite traumatizing and harmful in the long run. And so, as I was saying to my friend, it's very important, to realize that there's purpose in the small things. And what that looks like is maybe I wake up and I journal first hour of when I'm awake, and I meditate, and maybe it's a cup of coffee, making sure I give myself some rest and a transition from slumber to I'm present, I'm awake, I'm in my body. So that might be a cup of coffee and, reading the newspaper. It might mean I would like to make sure that I'm being more present for the relationships that I have, the loving relationships that I have in my life. It might mean I'm going to cut out sugar. I'm not going to eat sugar. I'm going to reduce my amount of intake because I want to have a slimmer waist. When we start having these commitments that we're putting ourselves into that kind of deep end, right? Where we're cold turkey. We're like, I want to do this. At least one thing a day I can commit to. And a lot of time we don't have the discipline. We have the emotional, like, well, I deserve the cake and I deserve to, sleep in, and I deserve, and it's rightfully so. But when it comes to oversleeping and overeating, and we're embellishing and we're not really actually fulfilling that resistance and pressing through and breaking through. Because I tell people, yeah, natural flow is always great, but you got to break through sometimes in seasons of resistance to see what's on the other side and how that defines you and how that defines your next project, your next big, piece of work that you can offer this world. And so when I'm talking about creator's block, it's in the creation of your reality, your belief of what that looks like for you. What that looks at like in your body, in your mind, your spirit, your soul, whatever that looks like for you. And sometimes you can have that sense of awareness of yourself and be somebody who's objective and can give yourself certain critiques to help you align yourself better to a higher frequency, a higher self and higher self purpose. But there's other times that you're not going to be aware. You're going to be so in victim mode that it's not your fault. Like that you've been programmed maybe because of childhood traumas or experiences that you have been through, that you have been programmed subconsciously to think that you don't have the power, that you don't have the choice, or you don't have the ability to redirect. And I think the best thing you can do is, yes, have compassion in those times and those seasons where you're feeling like, I don't really know how to change my situation. And that's a level of compassion and submission to understanding that it is happening. And I don't have enough power mentally or maybe emotionally to get through this in order to set up systems to save more money, or to make sure that I'm songwriting every day, to make sure that I am creating the platform so I can better get acquainted with the customers and the viewers that I'm developing, a whole community around. And so some of the blocks that I have come across in myself, it usually resides, yes, in my physical. So you will have something that you'll experience in your physical, your emotional, and in your spiritual. And that's kind of how I see it. And then you'll have your external, where it's your universe around you, your world around you. And I just kind of pinpoint why I'm where I am, because your imagination brought you to this place. The way you're thinking right now currently has brought you to this particular place in your life. And that could be in an unhealthy relationship, that could be in a unfulfilled career, that could be in a unhealthy body. It could be so many different things. And that's when you have to kind of go take inventory and ask yourself the nitty-gritty questions. All right, so what's in my physical? What is the block in my physical? Okay, maybe it was my childhood trauma where, my mother always was concerned about my weight gain and my body and, wanted to protect me and had a lot of unrealistic standards around my health and my food intake. And it was a sign of control. And now I'm under stress. I return to that and I maybe don't eat and I starve myself. And obviously, it's a form of, self-sabotage and abuse. Like when we starve ourselves, this is putting your body underneath extreme stress, and it also alters your hormonal balance. So what ends up happening is your gut is not getting its daily intake of nutrition. It's not being able to detoxify properly. It's not able to build up a system to better feed your brain. And so then your brain's influenced, and then your hormones are influenced. And then unfortunately, at that point, you're in a position where you're being impulsive or you're not able to function. So you're dealing with depression or anxiety. So let's get deeper into this kind of breakdown. Okay, you have the physical, it's affecting your mental, it's affecting your hormones, it's affecting your relationships, it's alienating you, it's making you gain weight, it's making you feel like you're not who you are. And then, of course, if you feel like that's a block, well, then let's go a little deeper. The emotional block is not feeling like you're enough, or maybe you're not understood, or you're under stress because you're going through a breakup, or you're not being received at work. There's so many things that could go around the emotional because it's obviously being operated by your body, your physical, and what you're intaking and consuming or not consuming. And then, of course, it goes down to the mental. We have the physical, we have the emotional, the mental. Well, that obviously equals the end outcome of the mental, you know what I mean? Is that you're dealing with that anxiety, that depression on a regular basis. And maybe you will have to kind of self-cope. And mentally, you might think going to pleasure sources will be a good thing to kind of alleviate the suffering or the block that you're in. So seeking out alcohol, sex, sometimes even self-sabotaging. So thinking that this is not for you, or you're being paranoid, like think people are against you. They're not, saying that they're really here to help you. They're actually, making life worse. And what ends up happening is mentally you form a fight or flight response, and you create whatever reality and dynamics around your situation. And that leads us to the external, where when a situation comes up under pressure, when you're placed under pressure, you will operate out of your fight or flight response. And I really encourage people to understand that this system is just a baby system. I'm sure there's psychologists and shrinks and studies and theories on this matter in depth. And I'm sure that there is actually medical supported research or spiritual research that can better navigate you to where you need to, address these certain things and how to break through. But this is what I've done for myself. And it allows me to be, yes, analytical, but to get past the analytical mind in order to receive compassion and acceptance over my situation and to better address it. Because when I break it down, okay, what's happening in my body, which is the true tell. It's a true giveaway. You could tell when you feel stressed and you're dealing with everything. You're not eating, you're not sleeping right, you're agitated, physically you're under pressure. And everything follows. Everything follows. It goes from emotion, it goes to the mental, it goes to your external reality. And this is why when I broke it down into those 4 steps of those realities, those blocks, I was able to understand what I was trying to protect myself from, what I was running away from, or avoiding, or trauma bonding with, or finding codependency on certain things, or coping in ways that ultimately make the matter worse. Because you're just picking at the scab. You're not really addressing the wound. And I want us to understand this goes on the whiteboard. When you're creating a new life, creating a new you must address the past. You must address what has been your habits when you're under pressure. How do you cope? Because you'll lean on that. When things go awry, you will lean on that. If you don't feel inspired, when you feel bored, when you feel stagnant, you will lean upon your old familiar ways rather than pressing through and thinking, okay, I'm not going to throw away everything. I'm just going to assess. And I'm going to be honest, brutally honest with what I'm dealing with right now, where I am. It's not easy. No one said this was going to be easy. But this is what helped me get through a couple blocks in my season in my life right now when it comes to being worthy or enough, or being accomplished, or having a healthy perspective around money and accomplishment and what that looks like, and to not put limitations that are outlandish and are just based out of fear, because they're not my fear. They were fears from other people that influenced me that I should be fearful of being loud or overly eccentric or overly creative or overly too bold or dressing bold, or people will feel uncomfortable around you because they're not comfortable in their own skin. And this is what perpetuates this constant dysmorphia. We're not in our bodies. We're not comfortable in our bodies. When you eliminate all blocks and you are in your body, there's no disillusionment. You are who you are. And isn't that amazing? Isn't that beautiful? And there's a sense of flow and ease and trust and faith in what this body and what this spirit and what this mind can do. And I learned that just this year. I was so disillusioned with everything because I was playing it small, or I had a little bit of understanding. I had glimpses of possibilities of getting past certain blocks. But of course, you can only meet yourself as far as you've met yourself. And I had to meet a different version of myself. I had to create a different version of myself. I had to reinvent myself. And this is where it gets fun. It's scary as fuck, but it's fun. It's when you accept, okay, I'm not perfect. I'm not even trying to be perfect. I'm not even trying to have you like me. I'm not having this, internal dialogue hoping that, this is going to give me some form of validation or acceptance into this collective. I don't even want to be accepted. I have a message that's important, and who it's for, it's going to reach, and who it's not for, it's not for. At the end of the day, when you have this acceptance, no form of rejection phases you. You don't block off certain parts of yourself trying to kind of cater or alter so you can gain a couple likes, a couple views, a couple customers. You don't jeopardize your integrity. You don't jeopardize your value. And this is why I tell people it's important to realize that in these systems, when you break it down from your physical, your mental and emotional, and your external reality, and finding those blocks, you can better yourself every day with a small acceptance and responsibility, taking ownership, adjusting to making sure that you can be committed and consistent with yourself. And you'll start feeling the change. You'll start feeling in your skin a lot more. You're going to feel excited. You're going to feel a lot more attractive and more playful. And You're going to operate and access emotions that you've never accessed in a while. That might be, sadness. That might be anger. That might be playfulness, joy, whatever it is, peace. But you'll be able to access it with no cap. And so I'm excited to announce for anybody who's feeling like they have personally felt in this season while they're building and they're creating, they feel blocked. I have created a beautiful system on my Etsy. I have digital materials that help specific people, whoever it's for. So if you are a business owner and you are looking like you're wanting to be a business owner, or you are a business owner and you're learning the digital, platform and online stores and how to keep it alive, and you're learning the whole language of this beast, and you're needing support, you need, resources. I've created a vendor list and a resource list for you to basically help you get a little closer to your goal. For people who are trying to get a vision and they're feeling like, I don't know where to start to just get a vision. I don't know my purpose. I don't know, if I want to create a business, if I want to create a new project or a collaboration or whatever it is, I suggest you access my 5-day challenge, my Future Me challenge, which I announced my last podcast. I really recommend you go through that process and develop yourself. Those two pieces of gold are perfect together or separate, but it really customizes to those blocks and getting past that. It allows you to feel like, okay, you know what? There's some questions I need to answer for myself. And you know what? Also, I've been neglecting this project because I don't know where to start and I don't have the source. I don't have the resources, and I don't know if I'm going to be successful, and it's probably going to be a flop, and I don't really have an idea. It just starts with one commitment, committing to yourself. It starts with trying something, investing in yourself for the first time, and doing something that honestly requires no effort, because when you stop resisting yourself, it's ease. There's just nothing but ease. The things that we resist, it's usually because we're resisting change, right? We're resisting progress. We're resisting unknown. What we want to do is attach ourselves to the comfort and of the familiar. So I'm excited because I know you guys are growing this season, and I'm excited because I can see the growth in myself. And I just am excited that you guys can just stick it out with me. We can grow together. There's a sense of guidance. I want to keep on feeding into you guys that there's endless possibilities to extend your capability and to eliminate for good the limiting beliefs that you have over your life, and to have the love that you want, to have the love for yourself, but for others, to build the families that you want, to build the companies that you want, to build the product that you want, the project you want. It's all possible. It just starts with acknowledging, accepting, having compassion over those creator blocks so you can create the reality that you want, so you can speak to the creator in you. And I'm so happy that we can have this time today. And I can't wait for the next time we can speak, connect, and please make sure that you give a review. If you want to pass this on to a friend, pass it on to a friend. The more the merrier. I want to build a community. Make sure you connect with the Facebook page. I adore you all. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I want us to build together, and I want this to be the proof that we evolved one day at a time, and we committed with just meeting twice a month to just talk about these ideas that sit in our head that need to finally be actualized. I love you guys. Stay blessed and stay creative.